Hey guys, welcome to LawnCareMadeEasy.com. I'm Zach Stroud. Today I'm going to give you 3 shrubs you should avoid trimming until spring. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Okay guys, so welcome back. So usually in the fall we think about trimming everything back for the winter and making everything look nice and neat. And all that is true except for a few shrubs we need to avoid just for this time. This is called a gold flame spirea, and as you can see it has a nice foliage for the fall. Now all this is going to fall off and you're going to be left with a lot of just sticks. But what you don't want to do on this particular shrub is you don't want to trim off too much to where you don't get a lot of blooms. So I actually made that mistake one of the first years I had this. I trimmed it back really far and I didn't get a lot of blooms. And the particular thing about this plant here, the spirea especially, are the many blooms that it has in the spring. Now this will be, in the spring, will be more of a chartreuse color with a bright purple pink bloom. They're not very big, but there are very many of them. So what you don't want to do is cut this back now. With the spirea, you want to wait until after it blooms, and then you can cut it back. And then then you can cut it back and shape it up and make it look nice for the following year. But don't cut it back now, because what you're going to do now is just limit the amount of blooms that you have in the spring. Okay guys, so the next one I want to talk to you about, waiting till spring to cut these back, is the oak leaf hydrangea. First, we have a nice foliage here for fall. You have the purples, the reds, some orange in there, and that's nice to look at. Now this is a very young hydrangea, very young oak leaf hydrangea, so it's not as big as some of them get. So it's probably about 2 or 3 years old. But I'm not going to cut this back until spring. Reason being is usually when I cut these back, as I've done in the past, I'll get about an inch and a half of dieback through the winter. And what I mean by dieback is if I cut it in this area here, I'm going to get about an inch and a half of frozen right here, because these are very fleshy. A hydrangea is very fleshy, and this will die back about an inch and a half. And so really I have to come back and cut that again. So what I'm going to do is just leave the bloom and everything alone. And then when it starts warming up to about 65 degrees in early spring, then I'll start to cut them back. I'll cut them back a little bit, probably. I'll decide then, but I usually cut them back probably about I might cut them back about 3 inches. And then end of spring versus summer is when they start blooming. So I'm going to get them to kind of get a little bigger, and then we'll get those big blooms. So that's it for the oak leaf hydrangea. So let's go to our next and final shrub. Okay guys, so our final shrub that we're going to talk about, and actually it's a tree, but this is a camellia. A lot of the camellias will bloom in late fall, early winter, or even late winter. So unless you know which variety you have, it's best just to leave these alone and trim them in the spring and shape them up as you like them. Otherwise, as you can see, this one has a ton of blooms on it, getting ready just to burst out. And when it does, it's an array of color here. So just wait until after it blooms, and when it does that, then you can shape it up and make it look good for spring. Okay guys, so that's your 3 shrubs that you need to wait on till spring. Okay, that way you'll have a ton of blooms and you'll be able to enjoy those shrubs. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you guys.